There's a lot of benefits to social marketing. And my friend Avery in the back is going to be the first to tell you about the different methods you can use to increase attention to your website, to analyze this, to track the actual steps and the true metrics that went into revenue generation. People are looking at social as the fact it's the single most powerful way they have found with a low ROI to generate exposure to their business. It's expected these days. It is almost just unheard of that you're going to walk into a company and do business with them and they don't have a web presence. What do you mean you don't have email? What do you mean you guys aren't on the web? What do you mean I can't get that information? Your competitors certainly offer it. New business partnerships? Are you kidding me? My reach has grown exponentially with social media. The new tools out there are absolutely incredible. The ability to translate to people around the globe and to be able to extract and drill information and find out what you need to succeed in business is here like never before. I know that our site has risen quite a bit in the search rankings, and a lot of it came directly from our Facebook fan page, our Twitter account. Qualified leads, by all means. People who come to us have already seen what we could do. I'd never have a cold call anymore. People know exactly what we bring to market. Closing business? Without a doubt. Now, there's a social media adoption curve that we're seeing today where it's almost a one-way and a two-way mind shift. When people first begin putting their business into social media, it's almost this one-way broadcast. I'm on my pedestal, I'm on my soapbox, I'm going to announce my business. It starts off like this. What is a social network? Oh, we need to use a social network. Let's take a look at what others are doing. Then they get to the broadcast. Hi, I sell this. Hi, my business does this. Hi, this is what we bring. And that's good, it's a start. But it misses out on the whole value of the word social in social networking. They're not engaging, they're billboarding, they're posting, they're talking. At that point, people begin to engage in a two-way dialogue. They start to reach out. They may even start to listen. They may say, well, wait a second. This is an opportunity for us to foster our human relationship outside of this network. I feel better after knowing you. Hey, Mr. Prospect that I've been selling, I see that you're going to see Cast with your wife tonight. Maybe we can meet up out there. Hey, Mr. Partner Company over there, I see that you're putting on an event. Let's see if we can help promote each other. Hey, different person who might want to work for my company. Hey, different guy who has an ancillary resource. And they start to actually grow these relationships, have discussion, and have conversation. Quite simply, the final step with social media is this true community building. One thing to build followers and another to build a following. Now, once you have this community together, you're able to actually create more value than anyone could previously with traditional marketing methods. We have collaboration. It becomes selfless. You're allowed to give. And by giving, you will get back. And there is so much value in the blogosphere. I'm seeing more and more companies embracing this. How many of you guys have seen Skittles.com? Okay, there's a few of us in the audience who have, and you know why I'm referencing it then. Skittles did something unheard of. Their website essentially turned into linkage to other external websites. They turned it over to the people. Skittles said, you know what, there's a wealth of information. There's people who love Skittles, who have almost made a hobby. They've done artwork with Skittles. There's a wiki page on Skittles. There's blogs about Skittles. And here's pointers that'll take you to all people talking about Skittles. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I love that idea of saying, don't listen to us, listen to what people are saying about us. This was a rather ridiculous slide I wanted to include. The amount of social media tools and offerings out there is growing daily. There is a website I like to go to that announces regularly new sites coming up. There's a few Killer Startups is one of my favorites, that every day they have 10 new sites they review. 10 new sites every day? Wow. But you take a look, and there's so much going on between search engines, between your social bookmarks, between your blogs, between your microblogs, your mini blogs, your aggregators, your video, your photo shares. There's quite a bit going on. And then people just say, hey, how do I help my business? And the methodology that we'll be talking about the rest of this presentation is help. Humanize, engage, listen, and promote. These are the four most valuable things that you can take back to your business with social media. Now, when I think humanizing, I love this slide here. I borrowed this cartoon because it just really spoke to me. It says, if you talk to people the way advertising talk to people, they'd slap you in the face. And I really feel that way sometimes. You're driving down the road and you got a billboard, buy this. Or you got a thing that comes on TV, you have to have this. You're probably feeling bad if you don't have this. Wow, that's not how we deal with each other, is it? Somebody came up to me and shouted in my face and told me what to buy, I'd be a little bit offended. It really gets into understanding your customers' needs. And all customers are going to have different needs. The key is to understand, how do you reach out to your audience? How do you understand who your audience is? And what do you effectively put together to be able to promote your business as well as understand their needs? And there's so many different outlets. You have your Flickrs and your YouTubes and your podcasts and Squidoos and Identicas and Yelps and Tumblrs and Posterias. There's so much out there. But then you take a look at the actual marketing. Are you going to market through traditional methodologies as well as you having your evangelist marketers? Are you going to be setting up some forums like a Yahoo group to answer questions, or maybe a name format's best for your business? Well, sometimes it comes down to simply listening and engaging. Now, we talk about engaging. I like to use the hand analogy. We're reaching out and engaging with others. This is an awesome aspect of social media. The opportunity to engage at levels we never were able to before. The opportunity to engage in front of an audience. In front of an audience. Traditionally, I would have a customer service department that was behind the walls and the confines of my corporation. I would control the employees and what they said on the phone. They might be recorded for us to play back later. At no point would we ever take those recordings and put them out to the public. And then what happens? I called such and such company and they treated me poorly. Really? Well, when this happens in new media, and you hear something like that, and they say, hey, I reached out to such and such company and they treated me poorly, we now have the audience that says, you know what, I saw that happen on Twitter. They didn't treat you poorly. They treat you with respect. In this case, transparency can actually help your business. And those companies that say, I'm keeping this close, I don't want my employees to tweet or to Facebook or to blog, they're missing out. Really missing out. You can overcome your competitors' flaws. One of the things that we'll talk about in the section on listening is the ability to put a flag up that says, anytime I hear this word, anywhere in the I could listen and say, really, you're having a problem with my competitor? I'm sorry to hear that. I happen to be in the neighborhood. You want to have coffee and talk about it? By the way, I'll give you a discount on my services just because of your payment. The opportunity to close new business when your customer is already having a problem with your competitor is phenomenal. A lot of the deals I closed when I was working with Dell were because a competitor may have dropped the ball even on a long-term relationship. They had been buying HP, let's say, for 8-9 years, and I had been pounding on their door week after week. And that one day that HP dropped the ball, I was there consistently to say, it's my weekly check-in, how are you? I said, it might be time to give you a chance. I could do this now online. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on. You not only can find out what people want, you have an opportunity to establish yourself as a leader without even selling. You know, before I come into your office and we talk about this, why don't you take a look at my YouTube? Why don't you take a look at what I've been doing with this company? Why don't you reach out to my referenceable accounts that I provided? This saves a lot of time. It's almost a weed out on both sides. By the time I'm in front of a prospect, they already have an idea of who Darren Williger is. I definitely have an idea how they work and who they are, depending on what I find or don't find. You can protect your brand like never before. Now, the biggest thing I like to point out when getting into social media is truly defining your goals. I find a lot of companies begin by saying, you know, we got to get in social media. You know, we got that intern Steve. Can you get him on the Twitter? And I guess we need to do the book face thing without a plan, without a clear direction for what you're looking to achieve. You could be on a million different sites, but you're not going to get to your destination. And the magic is social media works at so many different levels. I often think of a top-down methodology. How is this going to work for the executive team? Well, the executive team, they may want the opportunity to reach out professionally. They may want to have the opportunity to engage at a different level. They may have a different perspective than marketing has. I know traditional sales and marketing models, although they should be collaborative, often are going head-to-head. You look at marketing. He says, I need channels to place our content and build traffic. Well, that may not be a blog place. That's more suitable for the news feed. Maybe StumbleUpon even. Maybe something where you can put out your links. Digs, Reddits. There's dozens of these sites. What about PR? We want to know what people are saying about our services. We want to listen. And in that case, they're going to find comments. They're going to go through, they're going to have feeds, they're going to have Google alerts, and they're going to have other ways that they're going to find out what people are saying about that brand. Sales and HR, you know what? I heard recently that Best Buy put a new prerequisite on their job application that you must have 250 friends on Twitter. I'm not certain the reason behind it. I assume perhaps it's their way of saying, we embrace this new way of communication and we hope that our employees do too. We want you to at least know about it. From an HR perspective, there are sites now that do aggregate pulls off of multiple sites. Spokio is one that I enjoy using. I can go to Spokio and put in your email address and it'll pull information that you may or may not have shared publicly. And it'll aggregate it through multiple sources, whether or not you permitted the aggregation. This is incredible. If I'm going to hire an employee, I may care about the fact that, let me rewind. I may not care about certain things they do out of work in their personal life, but I definitely would care if they were representing my company. And if I find somebody has an exciting lifestyle, they like to go out, they like to drink, they like to do whatever, that's fine, you're social. But when you take pictures of yourself falling down and putting it on your MySpace, you just lost the opportunity to work for our firm. It's a chance to do things a little different from the HR perspective. From sales, I'm going to save that part to the end, as that's what I love. I love selling, and social media and sales has really not been tapped. It's something we do different. There's a lot of marketing and PR firms that are grabbing social media, and it makes sense. Traditionally, it's been a marketing vehicle. Myself, I like to work with companies, work with their sales teams, and create a positive force out in the field that continuously drives revenue. But it comes down to one simple fact. What are you looking to do? Once you have that, we could write a roadmap and work from it. But I think the most important part of any business is truly the ability to listen. We can't be everywhere at once. We can't hear everything people are saying about our brand. With social media, we certainly can. With social media, I can pull from multiple networks of networks. I can pull this feed in and say, wait a second, is this guy talking positively about my brand? Is this guy talking negatively, and why? And maybe the guy talking negatively is actually helping the brand because of how he's talking. Maybe he's pointing out something that could be fixed. Maybe the evangelist is somebody I want to get to know better. Are there ways I can improve my products or services? Well, guess what, guys? Nobody's shy in the social scene. It's almost encouraged. that if somebody steps up and says, hey, you're doing this the way that we don't like, somebody else will step up and say, yeah, and here's a way you could do it better. I've seen many case studies online where companies began with one goal, bulldozed the internet with their vision, and then later dialed back when they listened to people. And that's powerful. What can you offer? This is a chance for customers to say, you know what, I'd really like to see you guys offering this as well. And I like that you're bringing me A, B, and C, but what about X, Y, Z? Phenomenal. Let's talk about promotion. I have a feeling that's what a lot of people are wondering about how to do properly on the internet. This is powerful, guys. This is incredibly powerful. Social media capital. If you walked into a store and you blew all your money, well, that's okay. They may give you a store credit card, but you may exhaust that one too. And in social, it is an incredible value once you have social currency. Right here, less paid media, more earned media. The reason for this is, you know what? The systems can be gamed. Belkin's been busted paying off people on Amazon to write positive reviews on one of the routers that was getting some bad press. It's time to be transparent. It's time to be real. It's time to engage. Does it matter that they did that? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's going to take a lot of time to clean that up. But at the end of the day, if somebody won my attention or my respect because of how they handle things, I'm going to feel different about that brand. And there's something about that when you have that reach out. I like to think even about brand protection in companies that if I even put out a word, and I'm careful about what brand names I mention on Twitter, but I'm almost comfortable and confident in the fact that if I put out a company name, somebody should be listening. Because I know that if they're not, their competitors will be the first to reach out and say, maybe we can help. It really comes down to earning that credit. You can open up a Twitter account or a Facebook page and bribe customers. You can tell people, for every 1,000 followers, I'm going to give away a gift. You can gimmick everything, but if you're not actually getting these people to take action, to buy your product, to tell people about your product, to go out and buy your service, to go to your restaurant, to attend your session, you're failing. Earned media is the result of utility. This is using the media. It's not saying, hey, I'm a company and I have a web presence. It's about saying, I have a company and I'm going to help you. You may not be buying from me, but I see a chance to help another human being. That's where companies are able to build credibility these days, unlike ever before. Consider this, okay? Besides evangelism marketing, which social media breeds, there is no lower cost method out there of building your brand. Period. Go and drive down the 90 expressway and put up a big billboard ad for $6 grand. You know what? I was taking the side streets. I also feel good at times when I see a company speaking my language. You may not even have to be that great or have a powerful presence on a particular site. But if I know you're there, I almost feel good. There's times where I want to buy from people because they work like I work. And I shared an example the other day. I shared an example this morning about an example with a web hosting company I had. And this particular web hosting company, it dropped the ball. And I made a note about it. I'm looking for a new web hosting company. I'm very disappointed with this company. And I'm particularly not naming their name. Somebody from that company was actually one of my Twitter followers. It was not that somebody had actually decided to put on their ears and say, anytime I hear my company name, email me. He was an actual follower. An email came to me within about 45 minutes. They said, hey Darren, this is Greg. I work with hosting company. I see you're having some problems. I took the liberty of reviewing your account. I can see where you're frustrated. By the way, I see you play guitar, and I took a picture of me playing my guitar and a picture of my big red dog Russ. It was completely out of the scope of what we were talking about, but he connected with me as a human. This is somebody I'd interacted with on Twitter. I didn't know he worked for that company. He had paid attention to certain things, and we had been talking about guitar. the picture of this guy sitting there with the dog, I don't want to take business away from him. Back to the H. He humanized himself by engaging with me, listening to my needs, and whether he meant to or not, he certainly promoted his brand. We all have an opportunity to do this. I tend to fall back on Twitter in every slideshow lately is, I love Twitter. I really do. Out of all the different networks, I mean, we got this holy trinity of Facebook and LinkedIn and this ambiguous area of Tweetville and what do we do with this and what's a tweet anyways and am I going to talk about what I ate for breakfast and yeah, maybe you will. Maybe you will. That's great.
Well, I'm well good, right?
Yeah. There's so many things you could do. It's conversation. It's all about the conversation. It's made so easy. There is no other place where you are really at even footing with everybody. There is no advantage or disadvantage anybody has in this new dynamic method. There is just a clear communication platform. There's also the opportunity to do it wrong. There's an opportunity to shoot your voice out and have people see that the company didn't respond. Twitter's ubiquitous. I don't know about you guys, if you use Twitter a lot, is there, show of hands? Okay. So, if we have time, I'll walk you guys through a setup and we're not going to use a computer for it. I like the ubiquitous nature. No matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, you can grab a cell phone. Do you guys realize you can open your Twitter accounts right now by taking out your cell phone and sending a text message to 40404. If you did that right now and sent that text to 40404 and put the subject line, anything you like. But Darren told me to text this. You're going to get a response and it'll say, hi, this is Twitter. What would you like your username to be? Have you guys heard this before? Twitter started off as an extension to text messaging. Now, it wasn't just a miracle. The people who formed Twitter were behind Zynga and Odeo and did some stuff with Blogger, and these are some pretty incredible brains. They didn't just stumble onto a new way of doing things. What they did was say, we need to make this simpler. We knew Unix talk. We knew that there were ways that we could have chat. We got buddy lists on AOL. We got this. What their concept was almost an away message from like an AOL that would work through SMS. So you can leave a trace, a reverse chronological record of what's going on. I'm heading here, I'm doing this. People began to embrace this technology not because they had an awesome website, not because they liked the idea even, but because they made it easy. They made it accessible. Twitter did not specify you have to use our site and you have to go and do it this way. We open our API and we're going to let everybody come up with an application that can either use our service, leverage our service, grow our service, listen to our service, extract our service. And that's what made things different. There is no right way to do it. You could tie anything you want into it. And this message applies to all the mediums. I just happen to come back to it. It's simple, it's easy. Twitter gives you 3 ways to talk. I could send a direct message to Will. Hey Will, what's going on? I see you have a Titleist hat. And everyone will say, wow, he's talking about Titleists. Perhaps these guys like to golf. I could send a private note that says, hey, let's golf, but I only have room for one guy in my car. I may not want to put that out there and exclude everybody. Or it could just be a direct broadcast that says, hey, world, I'm going golfing today. That's the beauty of it. You have 3 ways. People often ask, why is Twitter 140 characters? Well, simply SMS was 160. And they trimmed off 20 characters so you had room to put RT for retweet, to have your limited amount for your screen name. And that's why it was capped at the 140. But we're going to move on. This is not a prezo just about Twitter. Oh yeah, I was going to pimp my business a little bit. Overall, you shop where you want. Of course, I'm going to have my business slide as I'm very proud of what we do, and we've been doing it for over 18 years. We're able to vote. But the whole key that everybody needs to do to succeed in social media clearly is to define your goals. Just like when I got in the car this morning, if I did not know that I had to show up in Rockford, I probably would have had a horrible time getting here. And I see a lot of people throwing darts in the dark in social media. We know we need to be social. We need to get somebody on. Go join the MySpaces and your Facebooks and the Twitters and just do it. without a plan, you know, you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You want to enhance your presence, you want to get louder, you want to be able to reach out to people, whatever it is you do, it can be more pronounced using social media. Are you a musician? Do you want to get your music heard? Maybe you need to put that out on MySpace. Maybe you need to expose people to your business a little bit with video. I thought it was pretty neat that on the social media bootcamp site, these guys had a video of the Kryptonite party on Thursday. I wasn't able to attend this party, but it gave a nice warm feeling to those who are going to the website. Hey, this is a fun crowd. They have a party, but they're also going to talk business. It created a feeling. That was a good thing. What did it cost to put that video together? Yeah, it was their forum. Are people looking to increase sales or grow profit or any of this stuff? I don't know if any of this is of interest. This is just a boring slide I'm going to leave up while we talk. It's actually not too boring. It's a lot of fun because it has the whole spectrum of what's going on. I did not make this slide. This came from the conversationprism.com. I would recommend that when you use other cool stuff, give them credit. This is beautiful in that they really tied together the different realms of communication within social media. And it's almost overwhelming at first. You have your reviews, your ratings, your videos, your documents, event sites, music sites, wikis, and mini blogs, and microblogs, and platforms of collaboration, ecosystems, live streams, voice, geo networks. Wow, it's quite a bit. Do you need to be on every network? Do you need to be on every social network there is? Actually, yeah, I recommend you do. No, that's silly. You're not going to be able to update every network. It's ridiculous. But let me tell you why you need a presence on every network. Now, Facebook has exceeded MySpace for the number of active users. But are there not still millions of people using MySpace?
Actively?
Good question. Maybe.
No, because I know I have a MySpace account that sat there for at least a year now.
Not a lot of viewers, not a lot of.
I started it for my band.
Okay.
Because that at the time was I don't know if it still is, but for my music, that's where it was suggested that a lot of people started. If you have a band and you want to get your music out there, go on MySpace. That was the only reason why.
That was the first place. That was where you would go and find new music.
Yeah.
Now, where are you finding that you're putting music now? I'm assuming more with the
I'm putting
video
more.
even?
I'm using actually video.
Okay.
I'm using in Facebook. I'm putting music on there.
So do you have a fan page on Facebook for your band?
Mm-hmm.
And people can go, they can actually download maybe a sample song to their.
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You're giving away. You're
Yeah.
saying, come see our band, but why don't you listen to us first?
Oh yeah.
But that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's fantastic.
Now, although you may not be getting hits to MySpace, I think it's worthwhile to keep that account, and I think it's almost worthwhile for people who don't have one to register one just to have your name. And even if you just went into MySpace and you registered your URL and put it up there, the reason for this is primarily to prevent others from doing so. If you had no presence on MySpace, I would be able to do some rudimentary searches in Google, probably find your photo, maybe something about your band, something about your history, and make a false profile.
Will they shut those accounts down if there's no activity? If they're seeing that those sites or my page is just kind of, they would term it squatting, like it's just been there and there hasn't been activity from the user side. Could they potentially close that?
Yes. There is limitations I've seen on many of the sites that claim if you've not used your profile for 6 months, they reserve the right to terminate. But I've never seen it done. I've seen some odd sites on Twitter. Those of us on Twitter have been followed by these weird things where it's like, what are these? And they exist forever, where they may not have tweeted for a year, but somehow they still exist out there. And I know they're getting tighter and tighter with detoxing the system. MySpace, I've never seen anyone out of there. I've seen sites that exist forever. I've seen some that somebody put up in '06 and are still there. What I do with my MySpace is it's essentially an aggregate feed that points people to my other networks. Thanks for connecting with me here on MySpace. I do speak the MySpace language. By the way, you're more likely to find me on my blog or on Twitter. And it's produced in a way that is a creative way of saying, I think it's a good network, but here's where I like to hang out. If you weren't on Twitter or weren't on Facebook or weren't on LinkedIn, social media identity theft is on the rise. And there's minimal action that you can actually do to overcome this. If somebody steals your identity online, it's a little bit different than when somebody would take a credit card and you call a bank. There's no official company yet whose job is to regulate this. There's all these independent social networks. You can contact Twitter and say, you know what, that's not my account. It actually did happen to me. That as my Twitter popularity began to rise, somebody made a fake Twitter account. It was brought to my attention almost immediately from some people who followed and said, well, wait a second, is this you? What did I do when that happened? I went and opened up more fake Twitter accounts. I opened up Darren_Williger. I registered Darren J. Williger. What if I shared my middle name? Well, that's a perfect one to go after. And that's about it. I think if anyone wants the other variations, let them go for it. By protecting my core brand, I'm preventing pain in trying to contact Twitter and prove that I'm me. I mean, do I hire an attorney for $300 an hour to go after some free service and tell them that somebody's pretending to be me? It's very tricky, but it's very real. Your question, sir?
Oh no, I was just gonna point out that MySpace and Twitter, MySpace and LinkedIn both around 40 million email bases.
Oh, so it has been
Yeah, it's pretty active.
still pretty active. I like having the multiple presence. I have an Identica account, the open source version of microblogging. I have several different ones. You go to darrenwilliger.com, it's this obnoxious list of the 140 sites that I'm on. Most of them I'm not active on. Who has time for that? But through proper aggregation, I can make sure that at least my tweets will show up on some sites, and perhaps a photo. You don't want to over-aggregate to the point that things are noisy. But I do recommend at least getting a presence on the top ones. Hi, we have another question.
And they don't care if you have multiple accounts on something like Twitter, they're not, like, you're saying you register with different names and.
You don't have to go crazy with it. I don't recommend getting a dozen accounts because there's really no value to it. But if there's the opportunity to put, let's say you use your last name as a handle or your first name or even a company name, I think it's worthwhile to reserve your full name and make sure nobody takes it. My one with the underscore, I mean, occasionally people will show up, and you know what? There are times it is valuable. What I've chosen to do with a couple of those is actually keep it sometimes running on a screen and just see what happens with that account. It's not critical to get dozens of them. I would recommend you do the underscore in the middle of your name, and I would recommend if you have a middle initial to use that. And I'd say that going for any more than that is almost going too far, because you could prevent somebody who also has the same name of getting their actual title. You know, if your name happens to be Jane Smith, it's challenging. So I think there's a certain level, and we talk a little bit more, I got some free articles on the website that talk about social media identity theft protection, as it's such a growing concern that there's no real recourse for it. Now, unfortunately, it just takes time. I've been plagiarized, I write, and I'll sometimes find my articles. I have Google alerts set up that if certain phrases come up, let me know, or I can go to Article Checker or Copyscape. And as soon as this happens, Google is very good about respecting the person who reached out and proved that it was their content. So plagiarism is on the rise. Identity theft is just prevalent on the internet. Oh, we're digressing all over social. Let's talk about how to sell and how to grow business. Anyone have some ideas they want to throw out, and maybe some processes we can tear apart here? We got
15 minutes, was it?
perfect. Great.
Super.
Yes, sir.
What we did to grow.
Okay, let's talk about that. So we went out to have a lunch, and what do we do? What we normally do, we're social. We are social beings. We are social. Since we lived in a cave, beating a drum and trying to meet people, it's all been about connecting. So we went to this restaurant, and being silly like we are, and all of us with our cams and our videos and everything else, we're running around. Let's video our friends. We're at a restaurant. Let's video the restaurant. Let's talk to the restaurateur. Let's see who's behind this. Let's have some fun. Let's talk to people. Sure enough, we grabbed a little attention, and you know, the district manager of the restaurant insisted on getting to know us a little bit better. It was almost a prospecting exercise that we didn't even plan. Here we are,
Monday morning call.
What's that?
Monday morning call.
Exactly. This was an opportunity to have somebody see what we do, to see our personalities. And granted, we weren't out giving professional presentations. We were being silly. He related to it. He said, this is neat. You're doing something different. I want to know about this. That's what keeps happening. And it's incredible when I see this. I walk into the UPS store and there's a sign that says, we do Twitter. And I feel good about this because I know that when I do business at the UPS store and I get a package and they sign for it, I'm going to get a tweet about it. Hey, when you have an opportunity, come in and pick up your package. It was from Will English, by the way. And they'll actually tell me who it was from. Value add, using new technology, it would have been the same thing as using a phone and saying, hey, Darren, we got a package for you. What's different? They spoke my language. I prefer Twitter to phone. I prefer Twitter to email. Email I find formal, almost cumbersome. I want to compose this to a point that I know a lawyer can comb through it and feel that I had done the blessed corporate mantra of putting it out there. Twitter forces me to be succinct, and I don't feel as formal as I do with using email. And that's just me. I prefer that. But I think that's where companies need to start to listen to their customers and say, how do you prefer to communicate? Do you like the fax? Do you like email? Do you like telephone? Do you like if somebody pages you? Would you prefer a tweet? You know, back when the telephone came out, I bet there were slow adopters there too. We don't need this newfangled device. Our customers don't have telephone. Why would we have telephone? Well, because the other guy down the street has telephone. Hey, I bet that next day the guy had a big sign in his window, we have telephone. And now people are starting to put signs in their window, we have Twitter. And it may not be their window of their car or their building. It may even be on their website. I felt good when I went to pizzahut.com and saw a Twitter logo. I always know that Domino's has it because DBZ Ramon is all over this. This is somebody who said, well, wait a second. I sell pizza. I own a lot of pizza franchises, and pizza is primarily eaten by, people. He realized that people are social. He realized that social networking is a way for him to reach out to lots of friends at once. And most of us in this room know DBZ Ramon because he attends every social media function. Do you know what he does? Do you think he shows up and says, hey everybody, you gotta buy Domino's? You know what, I think it was the first 2 times I met him, I didn't even know his position. I just thought, you too. We just thought, what a neat guy. What did he do? You too. He pulls this off seamlessly. He's the non-political politician. He's the guy who shows up and says, hey, how you doing, Teresa? Hey, Will, what's going on? Hey, Darren, what's going on with this? He pays attention. He follows all of us on Twitter. He interacts. He has fun. I remember him making a pizza for Will with his name on it. And he made a video and put this video and said, this video is for Will English. And
I did not know he was doing this. That's the best part. I didn't ask him to do it. He did it on his own. And I being surprised about it. So.
And that's the beauty of it. He's having fun and he's connecting with others. When he shows up at Social Media Club, he's not pimping Domino's, but he is. Because he is that brand. We no longer have this company person. We now have that, coin Armano's phrase, the brand individual. We have that single entity that almost ties in everything. You know, I've been in sales for 20 years. I know that many times people bought from me because they believed in me and I believed in the product or the services I sold. And if I worked for another company, they may have been inclined to purchase those products or services too, knowing that they could trust me standing behind them. And the same thing rings very true with social. With DPZ Ramon coming out and saying, hey, I'm just a guy. I have fun. I like showing up and having fun with people. That makes me want to buy his pizza.
The best part about Ramon actually for me is like, if I don't help these guys out, if I don't help us and be social with us, then I don't get paid either. So it's kind of also a value exchange, but it's more important for him to give out the value as opposed to, instead of selling us pizza, he gives the value, leads with that. He gives that first.
He gives us his friendship.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it comes down to. If I need to get something done, if I need to get somebody to paint my home or I need to get somebody to fix my car, do I open the Yellow Pages anymore? Does anyone own a Yellow Pages? Show of hands, who has the Yellow Pages? All right, we got one. I was hoping it would be like somebody short telling me they sat on it on their way here, but.
He's a search expert too.
Exactly. I'll take that up with them later. Great coupons. I would not use the yellow pages. I see them stacked up by the door. I don't understand what's up with that. I would call a friend. I would say, even on Twitter or Facebook, hey, I'm thinking about getting somebody to paint my home. Does anyone have a painter they recommend? I would take that first. I would listen to somebody I trusted telling me who they trusted. And that's what social networking is bringing to us. Completely. When you go online and you know that you may not know, I lost my clicker, you may not know this person, but you know somebody who knows that person, it takes you that one step closer. And there's different ways to do it too. There are definitely different ways to do it, and I don't want to delve down the whole pros and cons of how you reach out. Some people like to have 1,000,000 people in their network. Some people like to keep it closer. I think the key is you find out what works for you. You find out what allows you to listen, what allows you to reach with your customers, and what allows you to connect and grow. And you, sir.
Yes.
You mentioned you have a business. You've grown using social media primarily as the main marketing vehicle on a low budget.
Absolutely.
Here to tell us a little bit more about that, or?
Sure. Can we stand up and say
Please,
it?
yeah. This is my friend Will. We did not just meet here today, but we did meet through social media. And Will and I first met on Twitter and had fun just interacting, screwing around with each other like a couple of guys do, kind of palling around.
Like you saw earlier in the presentation, so.
Yeah, but the relationship we have is the same as before we met. That's the neat part. I meet him for the first time and I come, buddy, what's going on? I felt like this is my long friend I've known for a long because I knew him online. I knew things about him that I probably wouldn't have known just being a regular in-person friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one part I like about this is that, okay, imagine traditional networking. Imagine trying to reach out and find other businesses, stuff like that. Okay, go to a networking event. I get your business card. I call you on Monday. Okay, you're busy. You're at your business. I got a couple minutes. Let's sit down for lunch, and in 1 hour I gotta tell you all this stuff, and hope that all turns into business later on. Or I go, hey Darren, I saw you on Twitter earlier. I read your feed. I know more about you than I ever needed to know before I come to meet you. I know that you own McGill. You used to work for Dell. That you're. I'm not gonna go into that anyway. So I know more about this person. I'm connected to this person before I even meet them. And it's funny to me because without that, what the heck would I do? Like I said, I have no budget. I don't have a marketing budget. That's my weak point is marketing. But I know I do sales. I know I do self promotion. But how do I turn that into business? And that's what I love about social media. And I go to events now. People introduce themselves to me. It's like, oh, I saw you on Twitter. I saw you on Facebook. It's like, oh, now I get to meet you in person. I didn't meet Jennifer before yesterday. I was supposed to say before today, but she friended me on Facebook, and we got to know each other a little bit before we came here this afternoon. And I knew that I could trust her before I got here. Especially with Facebook, because there's mutual friends. It shows you who are you mutual friends with, and she's friends with most of the social media friends that I have. So it's okay. This is a good person. I can actually trust them, and helps the process tremendously. So.
I like what you just stopped with. I can actually trust them. You talk about that for a second. You have a feeling of trust, although you've never met this person.
Right.
You just said I could trust them.
Right. Because like I said, with Facebook especially, you see them interacting with and friends with people that I know. If they're friends, like if somebody's friends with you and friends me, then I'm quite sure that person is a good quality person, whether they do business with me or not.
So depending on your relationship with the person that you have in common, it's almost an embedded trust.
Absolutely.
Okay. But that's beautiful, and that's something that I think all of us could benefit from. But who wouldn't want people to trust their business more? Yes, sir.
Being new to this Facebook and Twitter stuff, what type of differences in etiquette? I mean, you're talking about since you have some common relations or common contacts,
Okay.
you thought you could trust them. Was there any situation where you have to be careful of what you say?
I'll field.
Actually, that's a great question.
I can field this one. Each social network is different, and I'm just going to focus on Facebook and Twitter. For me, with Twitter, there are a lot of people that will follow you, And the idea is I get an email that says this person is following me. The first thing I do is go to their page and see what they're talking about, see who they're interacting with. Because that feature isn't available on Facebook, but I can usually tell based on their interactions with people that they're talking to, the number of followers they have, the number, of updates that they have, if they're legit. I mean, because like most of the time you get to somebody's page, and it's a promotion for their company, and I don't see them interacting with people. I don't see them, evaluating me. They're basically adding me to add to their follower count, and I usually just say, okay, no, I'm not going to follow you back. It's awesome you're following me. I'm not going to block you because you're not spamming me or whatever. But that's one thing I look for. It's kind of you get any out of this person's page, you can add them back. Another me that grabs my attention is some people will reply to me first before they add me. And then I get their attention right away. Will, I appreciate the fact that you blah 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 blah. I'm liking your presentation, and that surprises me at times. Like today, we're streaming our presentation. Some people replied to me already that I haven't really interacted with yet. So like, oh, okay, so now they have my attention. On Facebook, however, like I said, it's easier for me on Facebook because if somebody makes that request, that's the first barrier to entry. That's like you're at the door of my house knocking on the door. And like I said, what's lucky is that a lot of people have mutual friends. So if there are a lot of mutual friends, no problem. But if they don't, the first question is I'm sending a message back to them. How did I know you? How did I meet you? What were we talking about? So I may not remember, but I want to know what's the premise here. So.
No, that's good stuff. I want to kind of drill back just for a minute to the curve. So being that you're new to social media, it's probably at this point where you're learning a lot today about what's going on and kind of being the fly on the wall listener and observer. That's a smart way to do it. Listen a little bit. Look at what your competition's doing online. If you don't have competition online, broaden the perception. There's somebody who's doing something similar that you might be able to capture. If you truly find minimal competition online, you've got to get there first. The whole key though, I find people listen, but I find it's more valuable once you step into phase 4 participation. I almost recommend diving in, even in the case of Twitter especially, and almost doing it wrong. Just doing it, just almost reaching out. Take those baby steps when you first listen. Your most valuable friend as a business owner on Twitter is search.twitter.com. This is the real-time search engine that's scaring Google. Search.twitter.com, and let's say I sell widgets. What I could do is put the word widget. I may have specialized widgets within this town, and therefore I'd put widgets Rockford. What the first thing I could do is observe, and there's going to be some garbage in there. Somebody saying, I don't know what a Rockford widget is. Okay, I don't want to talk to them. But then there may be somebody saying, I don't understand the difference between the Rockford widgets and the Rockford gidgets. That's an opportunity for you to demonstrate expertise. And that's where I would begin engaging. The problem that a lot of people encounter, and you mentioned these pages you go to that are blatant ads. Wow, it's just an advertisement. I would feel so confident on somebody reaching out and saying, you know what, that's a good question. The red widget actually works with the gidget. I got value. Without buying anything, I got value. Now, what did this do for you? Did you waste your time giving away free advice? No. You demonstrated to a prospect your excellence, but here's the beauty of it. It echoed. What you did now was in front of everyone. You did this, and you now have a historical, trackable record that you said this particular piece of advice. You added that value. That may actually then grow through multiple tapestries. The beauty of Twitter is what's called a retweet. And the retweet, as much as interacting with others exposes you to their friend list, their fabric, their tapestry of friends, having the retweet does this at an almost exponentially viral level. The retweet does a few things. It says, 1, I found something useful. 2, I know someone useful. 3, I think this would be useful to people who follow me. Now the fourth miracle part is those names get intertwined within the network fabrics, and you're now introduced as an expert. The person who passed on the news was not just your messenger. This is somebody who said, I had some value to deliver too, and I got the value from this person.
And the even better part is it's authentic. I didn't tell this person to retweet it, he did it himself. I didn't ask this person for me for referral or for the testimonial. The guy did it himself. So it's even more qualified, it's even better.
I saw a company recently do something really neat with Twitter. There's the opportunity where you can favorite a tweet. A tweet is your 140 character message that you put out. As a verbose sales maker who knows how to use words on and on and on, Twitter helps me be real short with that. If I find a message where somebody says, Darren, your business really helped me, I will flag that message. If they say, you know what, this was really useful. Now, what will this do over time? It'll allow me to hand out my list of favorites to somebody else. They say, well, were you successful with this? Well, yeah, why don't you take a look at all the people who said that I did this well? That's not necessarily how I'm using this. It's, I'm seeing some other businesses do it. It's a great idea. Look like you have one more question, and that's cool. Bring it on.
Well, I don't know if I made a mistake or not. I just opened a Facebook account and I just posted on it. The reason I'm opening this is to help promote my business.
Okay.
And I gave a short description of what I do and just said that I'm looking to meet other people with the same interest in their position. Really, I don't want to. We're talking about some sites that are blatant ads.
There's a difference, however. That's not a blatant ad to me. That's you being authentic, that's you saying what you're looking for. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Oh, there it is. I mean, the fact that you stated intention, I'm on here to find similar people. I'm on here to promote my business is useful. Let me tell you where I would do it different personally. My buddy Joe, and his name is Joe, and if he's watching this, hi Joe. He has a carpet cleaning business, and Joe signed up for Facebook, and he friended me on Facebook. Of course I accepted. I've known Joe for 10 years, and I went to see his photos, thinking he would have his beautiful children up there. Made pictures of his wife and going on a trip, and you know what Joe had? He had pictures of stained carpet. Oh my! Wow! Why did I tag myself in that, Joey? Thank you. Oh, I said, Joe, what are you doing? He said, well, I wanted to show people that I was able to remove the stain. Did you see the next picture? I said, of course not. I left your page. It was awful. I, oh my, and I said, Joe, why don't we try it this way? Why don't you make this your forum to talk about Joe and Joe being a family man? So I don't know about sharing everything. Well, then share what you're comfortable with. But what we're going to do here differently is we're going to set up a page for your business. And by doing this, we now had a special place where Joe could say, hi, I'm Joe. I sell carpet cleaning services. But if you want to learn about my business, go to my page. And the page was an ad. His level of success with doing this grew just from making the separate account. So there is no real right way to do it.
Right.
But that way, Avery, you had a comment on that.
Just a comment on Facebook is really known as the friends and family network. Make it easy for you to connect with your friends and your family. I went on Facebook. The first people that connected with me, this was last year. The first people that connected with me were friends of mine who had kids in college, because they were on Facebook to communicate with kids. And so you'll find that just in general, the social contract on Facebook is more oriented towards friends and family. Now, I have a lot of friends like Will and Darren who I've met through social networking. As a matter of fact, when I go to the Facebook social graph site and put my social graph, the vast majority of my connections know each other, and there's a big cloud across the top of people who are connected to each other because through social networking for business and connections. So I post a lot about business on there, but not just about business, because I have a lot of friends and family, and I literally have a friend who came to me today and said, you're using Facebook wrong. I'm not using it wrong, I'm using it. And so I've shifted from about 50-50 mix of professional and social to more 75-25 social versus net versus business. People want to hear more about my kids, and they want to hear more about what theater when I go to the show, whether it's a movie or a play. They want to hear about restaurants. I posted a link to someone documented a dinner at Alineo, which is this fancy restaurant in Chicago. And I had all sorts of people writing back to me that I was posting food porn on the website, on Facebook. But we had a great conversation, because when you go to if you're just out there to have a quick wham bam buy my jam, it's not, people are not gonna respond to that kind of advertising message unless they really need it, okay? Heidi was talking earlier um, about breaking her glasses, and someone right away came back and said, right away tweeted her on Twitter, you can get cheap glasses online at this website. That was an immediate need. That was someone who was searching for people who had the word broken and glasses in the same tweet, found someone and responded to it because there was a need, it came right there. But in general, it's a rapport building system and a relationship building system. And then people will want to buy from you because they like you and they like your approach to solving problems they have. Even if that same cousin.
Well, you come back to the connection part, and that's where I have the most fun. I tweet a lot, but I keep it positive, and anything that's even frustrating me, I try to add a positive spin to it. And recently, my Comcast cable went out. I'm a bit of a Twitterholic, and I run a business that really lives in the cloud. I have a hard time when there's no internet, and I went out back and realized that my Comcast cable was literally wrapped around my barbecue grill. No kidding. And I took a picture. I put Comcast now available in barbecue flavor. Within the hour, I had a post on my blog from a gentleman at Comcast Cares saying, Darren, that's a great looking grill. Is that a char griller? Here's a picture of my blog and with my barbecue. And he didn't discount the fact that I needed something fixed. He said, and here's my email address. Please shoot me a note so I make sure to remedy that horrible wiring job. But let's talk barbecue. Now, 2 hours later, another person from Comcast jumped in and said, I agree, that's an awful wiring job, Darren. I hope you emailed us your information. I love barbecue too. Do you prefer Memphis style or more of a... I really felt so warm and fuzzy over a company that initially you thought is, oh, shoot, they dropped the ball on this. But hey, any company can have an outage. The fact that they embraced me with something I didn't expect. They said, hey, this guy's kind of silly. He put a picture of the grill. Let's share ours. They connected with me on the human level. By doing so, they retained a customer. They made me feel confident that if I ever have a challenge, all I have to do is mention their word, their name, and they're all over it. I know that there's people with families out there as they share their photos. I know they like barbecue, and I love barbecue. There are so many ways to connect. Avery mentioned about his mix. My success mix is 70-20-10. And it was not intentional, but it's just something that hit, and there's a lot of math metrics you can tie. 70% of Darren or more, and those who follow me on Twitter probably back this, is replies, is reaching out to know another, is answering a question, is actively watching the stream and saying, hey, here's something to it. 20% is trying to add some value. Here's a link I found about business. Here's something that deals with Twitter. Here's something that's fun. I try to make sure it's catered. In business, it's critical to not cross lines and not overstep. I shoot for a minimum 40% coverage blanket. If I'm putting out something that I know is just a specific demographic, I may not over-promote it. If I put out something that may cross the lines of people between this group, no. You need to make sure that you have something that adds value to almost half your audience. That other 10%, something about me. Sharing allows people to connect. And I had a prospect I met with the other day, and we had a very good meeting. And they said, man, I watched your YouTube video. I said, which one? She said, well, the silly one where you sing and play guitar. And I said, wow, and you still let me to come inside your office? Avery knows what I'm talking about. And she said, of course. One, yeah, you're an awful guitar player, but I commend you for committing to it. Two, you were silly, but your message shined through, and I almost want to meet with you. I thought, I got so many stuffy suits who come in here, and if you just came in here in your suit and I hadn't seen the video, I probably would have had that perception. I liked it. Granted, I may offend people by doing something that's me, and that's probably good. Maybe those are people I shouldn't be working with. But that allowed me to connect with somebody, and it was a really neat experience. I think more and more that we expose ourselves, and a lesson I learned using social media that I was afraid of. I've been corporate groomed since youth. Here's how you work for a big company. Here's how you represent a big company. And I've worked for a lot of big companies. You learn to have that focus of being that corporate citizen. You learn that when you're with your girlfriend, you have that personality. You learn that when you're with your mom, you may have that personality. Your college buddies, that personality. Hanging out with your, friends, just going out drinking, that personality. I remember the first time I introduced my girlfriend to my mom, and I'm thinking, oh, great. And first time she met my my Delco workers, I'm thinking, oh, great. I act all corporate there. You know what? The more I've learned to share, the more I've opened up and said, hey, this is me. The more people said, wow, you just exposed 100 things, but you know what? I really like 10 of them. And that's the psychology of social media. Why would I want to go and put a note on your wall or put an update that says I just had a hamburger? What drives me psychologically to do this? Probably the same thing that drives him psychologically to say, I love burgers, man, let's go get one. And that's kind of what it's about. I've learned that the more I opened up and took that risk and put myself out there, and my singing sucks, the more people said, I suck at singing too. And the more people said, I see something in you that I identify with, and let's connect there. We don't look at things that we don't connect with and say, well, he has a dog and I don't have a dog. Naturally, we find the good. We find where we relate. We find where we see ourselves in another person. We see where we can connect with another, add some value, or get some value. We're all on this planet to help ourselves and help others. And this is a way to do it that's really loud, really public. And guys, it's here to stay.
And it's fun.
And it's fun. You meet a lot of awesome people. I have friends in this room I've met because of the Twitter. And that's the miracle part, is when you meet people, and I'd say I can't name any example that doesn't fall into the fact that everyone I've met matched the personality as I thought it would be. I've met people who had an avatar that was a dog, and their personality matched. Now, they had to explain to me who they were. Oh, Darren, oh, don't you have a German Shepherd? Yes, I do. That's my dog, Polly. But as soon as they explained who they were, the relationship picked up right there. And I don't care if somebody's icon is a puppy or something that's cute for the kid pick. The more you share yourself, the more you share about yourself, the more others will connect with you. That's kind of the message. I love talking about this stuff, and can go on and on. I'm in that 12-step program, on and on and on. And I encourage you guys, please, my Twitter handle is Williger. That's Williger. And I have some really silly cards with me that, I have my company ones, but I have some really fun cards I'd love to give you guys. It has my Twitter address on it. And just had a little fun putting it together. There'll be no doubt when you go home later, who was it that you met with? And please, by all means, reach out. I'm active on Twitter all the time. And if you have questions, she's nodding her head like, yeah, I gotta block them. And please reach out anytime. I prefer the @reply because it's an opportunity to help others too. The private message on Twitter I don't use as much because it gets filled with spam and it's not as valuable. I'd rather give out advice publicly where people can jump in and say, you know what, that was right, but I also recommend this way. And it gives a chance for collaboration. Please reach out. Email is Darren, Darren, @regilla.com. Our website's up there to get some free information. Whole column here is always active with tips, Twitter me this, social media and business. Not pimping too hard here. If you want to hire us, give us a call. But overall, there's a lot of free details here, and I'll give you a lot of free help just by reaching out on Twitter. It helps me because that's a long trail that shows people what I can do. And if I don't charge for my services, it paves the way for me to do so in the future. And I just love the chance to help because I know it always comes back. Thank you all for your time. This has been awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I can check out the YouTube video of you.
Oh, God, you're a musician. You can really laugh at me.
I am.
I
am
suck.
actually just for only the past 2 years.
Talk to me. Here's my deal. I have been corporate guy and I've been
traditional corporate guy, and I've never really explored my creative outlet. And after leaving Dell last year, I signed up at Second City and took a year of improv. I went to Zanies and did some stand-up. And
Carter's doing that now.
awesome.
I did that too.
Yeah,
I didn't do a whole year, I did a
connection.
class,
Yeah.
I did a class.
I might do it.
But it is amazing, your brain, after a class, you're like, I've never done it, but it feels like it could be, because you're just like, your brain is just firing off ideas and concepts, and you're connecting, and it's so cool.
Everything
It is,
builds on.
it really is cool.
The two words they teach you when you start improv, yes and.
Yeah, and I've
Right.
heard that.
And you build on it.
Right.
And in sales, it's almost, I thought it would help in sales. You can't always say yes and.
Right.
Now, we're having a complaint about the service. Yes.
Yeah.
How are you? Give me some extra.
So are you in Rockford?
No, I'm in Chicago, Rogers Park.
You're out in Rockford.
What's that?
Where's my
What's your
credit
band?
card?
My band is called
Awesome,
Poor
they
Man's
are.
Cow.
I enjoyed it very much. You did very
And
nice job.
that is because we were originally called the Goats. We do like a folk bluegrass country.
I gave you a card earlier, but I need yours. Yeah.
And our original title was The Goats, but that was taken, I did a Google search and that was taken by some rapper. So we thought, well, a poor man's cow is a goat. So it makes perfect sense. So we just stuck with that. I've been doing it for like 2 years, kind of self-taught.
The world.
Plays concerts in front of people, something I've never thought I'd be doing.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, we're putting together all the time.
And,
You ready for this?
I'm married to a female.
SWAT, social wellness training.
Taught me
Yeah,
shorts
love to have
and
you out. We're putting together some new shows.
so I think
We're
what she
gonna
does
do
is
podcasts and I think we're just really
I
trying
mean,
to
you guys
find
are kind of the
some
same
clients.
kind of thing.
Now we're
Yes.
Do you work with a lot of the CDBs or do you work with?
I love
I would say work with them. I mean, they put me apprised. I wasn't sure because I'd only been in downtown up until last year. And now that that's expanding,
So you're a housing manager or you?
no, I'm a teacher. Yeah.
We definitely should talk about.
Well, and the reason I was asking about the band is I teach a local band called the Pike.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
You know, I got your card, so I'll
Okay.
take a look. And I just started a Twitter account, although I didn't do it on the Christmas side, because I started out 2 weeks ago. Just working in Chicago, and I'm a graphic designer. And outsourcing what I do for what I do.
Yeah, we chat. Yeah, Chicago and yeah.
Oh, okay. So, are you probably choose, are you with Choose Chicago as part of your Facebook groups or something?
Yep.
Yeah, whereas network marketing traditionally was almost
We
the part of
retweet
yourself.
each other's stuff
You
all the
gotta
Oh,
time.
you read it, okay. So they're outsourcing what we do, so I started LLC,
Hey, look at me, I got this. Or hey, I got
or design, and then get the media side, or media platform.
whatever it is.
So that'll be doing video.
Here's me with my red dot. Here's this. Here's my first one.
So you have bands on your site that you promote? Or
Yeah.
We got your card already, but yeah.
Yeah, I teach other people. Yeah, on the side, they have to have one show.
Okay,
And,
right.
they just.
Which we do on September 25th, so I'll.
Nice, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, and then so I'm trying to build our web presence with that, and we have a Facebook page, YouTube account, our website.
Okay, yeah, some real stuff. We're also, I'm putting together, social media
Oh, cool.
Yeah, one of the.
You're putting it on, or you're putting it together? Really?
Yep, yep, Tim McDonald, will you give permission to stay? Okay, she's gonna handle the part, and then Kenny Gardner.
I get a run out of the fact that I have a broadcast studio in my basement.
Yeah, she, her parents have this digital machine.
This, actually, I think this is still broadcasting.
Wait, what's your name?
Literally,
Kate
Twitcam.com,
Gardner.
click on it.
Yeah.
Twitcam.com.
And it's Gardiner.
Okay.
I'm having so much fun with it.
It has like 8 or 9 bands. You heard of About the Higher Gun? I don't want any funny
What's
crap.
the name?
About the Higher Gun.
I gotta stand like this.
Bold, like the
Yeah,
color?
color, yeah. That was good. Who else should have done?
I actually commissioned an artist through eBay. Believe it or not.
Cool.
Hired gun.
Yeah.
This is the first one.
They're acoustic folk rock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're really good. But they're gonna
That's
play.
kind of like us, like we have two guitars, acoustic guitars, and we
Well, and that's the figure for the music for this, it's gonna be American Idol.
That's interesting. Awesome. Well, I'd love to, I don't know, when is your
Yeah,
next
the
event?
fact that he put this here,
Well, that was mine, yeah.
the fact that you put that there,
If you have an opening, I'll send you out, you know, I mean,
It's what?
I can remove it
we
safely
couldn't,
without
you know, I don't
shutting
know
it
if
down.
we
Yes, oh yeah, it's just,
But
it's.
if you put it here,
because we're trying to get our name.
I have to
trying to get,
shut it down to remove.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
they,
I had
Hopefully that was
I was
okay,
making
yeah.
sure I
Yeah.
returned the clicker
Yeah,
here.
that was mine, yeah, I just saw you
So-
were in need there.
What's the deal? This just...
Yeah, it's just like, you know, it's the remote, it's the access for it, yeah.
Okay, because I have the one that came with my projector, but it's huge.
Oh,
Is that with
okay.
a laser and a sky?
Oh, okay, well, let's got laser here too, yeah.
Yeah, but I could just... Oh.
Yeah, I think you should take it right out, yeah.
I just picked one of those up then.
I'm gonna just shut it down.
Then I had a pre-zone... Oh, that's not bad. See if I got all my USB.
oh, that sounds good. Well, I'll attend either way, but I mean.
I don't have it here.
Yeah, we're going to be doing it Wednesday afternoons.
No, I don't have it here.
Okay, hold on. Oh, here.
Hurry up.
Hurry up.
Yeah, I gotta get up. Hurry
Ah, well that works. That sounds more appropriate.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking at my son in Carpenter's outfit.
Oh, that's nice.